out of the blue, they've somehow linked the tolling with the TriMet. And as we know, mainstream media is the propaganda arm of the government and the corporations. So KGW is doing propaganda for the government here, and I'm not sure what the hell they're up to, but I approach all of this from the viewpoint that I personally hold, which is that government is nothing but a huge crime syndicate. It exists by extracting wealth from us. It's not about helping us. Government doesn't do right by us. We've seen 1,000 examples of this. And we right now are in the worst collapse of the TriMet system in my 20 years of watching TriMet. It's a goddamn disgrace. Meanwhile, they just build themselves a brand new garage, brand new offices. We're in some kind of a dystopian nightmare right now. And I don't know how many people actually realize it. I don't think many do. But we've got real problems on the horizon. So I'm going to watch this KGW story, because all of a sudden out of nowhere there's somebody called the TriMet lobbyist who is like the featured guy on this story. That should be Sam talking, but as we know, Sam is not very good at this, and so he doesn't talk. He can't talk. He's not that smart, and he's not a good speaker. So they got this lobbyist. I've never even heard of him. I actually have heard of him, but I've never seen him in public. So let's see what they're up to here. This is fairly long.
Side today because we're talking about tolling. Yes, tolling on Interstate 5 and 205. What's that?
And this is that right there is a criminal thing to impose on the citizens. They're extracting more money. There's never ending extraction of the elites. And of course they pretend that it's gonna, we're gonna help you with this. It's gonna stop whatever lies they come up with to justify their actions. This is routine at this point. They say one thing, but we know it's not true. They say, well, we need to do this because of the congestion. We need to save the planet. Whatever lie they come up with. But this is terrible. I feel terrible for the commuters in Oregon that they're getting squeezed on all sides. And not only are they going to toll you, but they're raising your fares. So we have a real crime syndicate going on in Oregon, and I don't know if the Oregonians are actually tracking on it.
That you say? You didn't know tolling was coming to Oregon? Oh, my friend, it is definitely coming. It'll be here by late 2025, so about 3 years from now.
Okay, well, at least you got 3 years before they actually do this. So anything can happen between now and 3 years. As we know, the society is in the middle of a collapse. It's just beginning. The collapse has just begun. So who knows what will happen in 3 years.
The idea is to get more cars and trucks off the freeways during the busiest times of the day. But what if you still have to travel during those times, say, during the rush hour? Well, in theory, you could take the bus.
Yeah, but you can't take the bus because it doesn't work. The system is in collapse, so this isn't going to make mention of that, I'm sure.
But will there be enough buses, and will they run on time?
No.
That's an excellent question that regional politicians and planners are just starting to wrestle with. Already, some are worried. When tolling takes over on I-5 and 205, many drivers are expected to bail off the freeway to get around paying the fee. That will push them onto side roads and neighborhood streets. The Oregon Department of Transportation is trying to figure out where that will happen and how bad it will be, and what can be done to make it better, or in their language, to mitigate the impact. One solution already being pushed is public transportation, especially buses, but it may not be as simple as it sounds. Listen to TriMet's lobbyist, Tom Margaret.
Now, this guy, I just did a video on him. Who the fuck is this guy? And why is he the figurehead here? Where's all these other bureaucrats, technocrats?
Speaking at a regional toll advisory committee meeting.
We have never done this before. This stuff makes me nervous as a cat.
What do you mean we have never done what before? We have never done what before? You mean you've never actually provided actual public transportation? What do you mean we have never done this before? What kind of nonsense are are you spewing? Immediately, you have to think, what the fuck are you talking about? What do you mean you've never done this before?
It is difficult. It's never happened here. It's something we need to figure out. I think we've got great partners. I think the partnerships that
Here we go. We're going to go with this. We got great partners, all these jurisdictions that survive off of your money, that take your taxes, and all of this guy's probably getting $250,000 a year. Everybody sitting around that table is getting $250,000 a year, and they're getting that money because of you, because you're paying their salaries through these unjust taxes.
Have with these folks are going to make it so we can figure this out. But like you said, we haven't done the modeling. We have got those terrible constitutional restrictions on us.
So what the hell is that supposed to mean? What the hell is he talking about there? Those terrible constitutions. So he's already framed it as something bad. He's lying to our face. He's telling us that something that's in the Oregon Constitution is bad. So this is the manufacturing of consent of this whole thing. So what they want, okay, it's already clear to me what they want. They want to change the rules. Okay, they want to change the rules. And this is the mainstream media story to get that started in the mind of the public.
Other states don't have. That's not going to go away. But one thing I do want to put out on the table is TriMet doesn't own roads. We don't own roads, right? We run our buses on roads, but we need to work with all the local jurisdictions so that we can move buses faster on those roads. And that means working with partners willing to make it so we can move buses faster on roads. We do have a serious issue.
You can't even run buses now. Your buses are not running because you don't have people running them. So here he is talking about, well, you got to run the buses faster. At the same time, they don't even have their system running. So, I mean, it's totally hypocrisy.
In this world, the planet really is dying.
Yeah, the planet's dying, and that's because you people have stolen all the money from the bottom levels of the economic strata. You've thrown millions into the ditch while you're living it up. And you're worried about the planet. I'm worried about the people living in the bus shelters.
Getting people, including the local jurisdictions, to recognize that if we're really going to make a difference on this, if mitigation is going to work, we have to get our buses moving faster. And that means big partnerships with lots of jurisdictional friends.
What the fuck?
It's not easy. It's going to be really tough.
So there's that. The constitutional issue he mentioned, by the way, is this.
Okay.
Money.
Here's how now the mainstream media picks it up. You see, this is the manufacturing of consent using the mainstream media. Mainstream media is not there to inform you. It's always there to manufacture things in your mind.
Money made from the use or operation of motor vehicles must be spent on roadway projects in Oregon. Now, I wanted to ask the TriMet lobbyist there for
why is that a problem? What's the problem?
more details on the buses. What exactly is he talking about to speed the buses up? Are we talking about dedicated bus lanes on the freeways and side streets or something else? TriMet, though, said he was not available today.
So the guy makes some ridiculous speech. This news guy here wants to ask him about it, but he's not going to talk to the news. Okay, don't you? It's hilarious.
The president of the regional government, Metro, is Lynn Peterson. She's part of that same committee you just saw. She's also worried about the overload of the bus system.
If we're diverting and we have more delay on local streets, the impact to the transit system during a peak period, especially just to keep the existing schedule as delay increases, means putting more buses and more operators out just to keep the existing schedule. That can go up into the millions of dollars for one route. So that's the import. So that's the finer point I just wanted to put on this, is that that's the impact that we can barely, as we look forward, we can barely see keeping an existing schedule, let alone probably not being able to keep an existing schedule because there isn't the money.
Now, I have to say, I don't know if those are genuine.
What is she talking about? What in the hell is she talking about? Is anybody tracking on this? What are you talking about? What are you fucking talking about? What does the tolling have to do with any of this? Oh, they're all going to take side streets. Is that the idea? Because they don't want to pay the toll. Of course they don't want to pay the toll. This is the worst thing you could be doing to people right now. Your problem for your oligarchy here is that they're doing the exact wrong thing, creating a mess. Okay, they're going to create a mess. They're going to tax you to fix their mess.
Doing concerns or maybe posturing by politicians hoping to get more money from the federal government to fix a problem that does not yet exist, but one that they legitimately do see coming. Remember, the hope is that people not wanting to pay the tolls will switch to public transportation.
And there's no way they're going to do that. There's no way they're going to switch to public transit. It's not going to happen. It's completely a fabrication.
We've heard from many of you that you simply cannot get to where you need to go by bus or MAX. And even where there is enough infrastructure, there's a real concern about all those people who do make the switch that they're going to swamp the bus system. Another committee member, Clackamas County Commissioner Paul Savas, added to the voices of concern at that tolling meeting.
But it's really the system. It's the box that we're in, and that there's not enough money. And you touched on it, Karen. There's not enough money to do what we need. There hasn't been any significant improvements in my part of the region when it comes to transit. And I understand the practical realities of, number one, the capital investment needed, the O&M to operate, whatever.
Yeah, they just built a new garage. They bought a second garage. They got a brand new office building. They have endless projects on light rail. They did the stupid Better Red. So the fact that they're trying to pretend there's no money is a lie. So they're just lying to us here.
Whatever it is we put in place, but we keep on going back to transit. And I understand the paradigm that we've been in, listening to Metro for all these years, JPAC and others, land use, transportation-oriented development, a big emphasis on transit-oriented everything when we can't grow the system to meet the needs. So there has to be something significant, or else we should bail. One of the two. Yeah, how we are going to address how we expand it or not, because I don't see the means. I have been.
And you know what they're going to do, because I read it. They're going to increase your taxes. Not only are they going to raise your fares and toll you, they're going to increase your taxes. That's what they're going to do.
Asking for this for a long time, like members of the TriMet board, TriMet staff people, everyone, what can we do? Where's the money? How can it happen? And the answer is we can't get there from here. And I think the public needs to know either we can get there from here or there is a way or a path. But right now, under the current paradigm, it's not working. We can't grow it to meet the need.
Which made others wonder if he was right. Washington County Commissioner Nafisa Fai asked ODOT's head of public transportation the question that many were likely thinking: how are we going to pay for this? Will tolls pay for more buses?
Yeah, well, how about that?
So how does all that tie in?
Oh, look,
Are
it's an inclusion person.
Going to invest some of those revenues that we collect into public transportation, more specifically transit? So I'm just wondering the revenue piece of, and the idea of.
What are you going to do with the tolling money? What the hell are you going to do with that?
Who's paying for all this?
That is a fantastic question. So we don't exactly know who's going to pay for what yet.
Yeah,
so
we know who's going to pay. You, the taxpayer. That's what they're going to do. They're conspiring to squeeze you to death, folks.
we know that if the transit is a mitigation, that we will have to come up with the funding to pay for that mitigation. We know toll revenues could potentially pay for some elements of projects that might be on this list. But beyond that, that's part of why we need to look at the full range of funding options and frankly, even considering new funding options.
Now, I don't know about you, but when I hear the term full range of funding options, it means just one thing: new taxes.
Yes, he said it. He's covering the story properly. Yes, that's what they're talking about. They want you to pay more money for their bullshit crap when they're already planning on tolling you.
We'll keep an eye out for those for you. In the meantime, a reminder, tolling on I-5 and 205 will begin in 3 years, but tolling for the Abernethy Bridge, that's the one that crosses the Willamette at Oregon City and carries I-205, tolling there and at the Tualatin Bridge, also on 205 near King City, well, those tolls are going to start in just 2 years in 2024. But wait, as they say in the infomercial world, wait, there's more. More tolls, that is, coming to a brand new sparkling, okay, I don't know if it'll be sparkling, but a brand new I-5 bridge across the Columbia River. Now, you may recall our past stories about how we're all going to be paying for that new bridge connecting Oregon to Washington, and it's not just tax money. We warned you there was a scent of tolls in the air for that project. Last night, we got our first bit of confirmation, and it came from the administrator of the Interstate Bridge Replacement Program. That's the bi-state committee charged with replacing the old bridge. We asked him how the massive undertaking is being paid for.
So as far as funding, back in March, the Washington legislature generously put up $1 billion to help fund the construction of this program. And we'll be going before the Oregon legislature in the...
$1 billion to do this. Meanwhile, there's thousands and thousands of people living in tents. Do you see what's going on here yet? This is another money laundering scheme to get your tax money into the hands of the elites.
The 2023 session for a similar ask of $1 billion. But we're also looking for dollars from the federal government as well as some tolling to help pay for and help operate and maintain this the new bridge that we construct.
So, they got $1 billion from the state of Washington. They plan to ask the state of Oregon for $1 billion. They're hoping for some federal money. And you can bet there will be, in his words, some tolling along that bridge once it's built. That's a few years off, by the way. They plan to begin the environmental impact part of the project early next fall. After that, there'll be plenty of chances for community input. And then construction won't start until at least mid-2025. We'd love to hear your latest thoughts on the tolling project. Do you think the public transportation alternative will work? That means putting everybody on buses? Or is that one simply doomed before it begins? And I know many of you hate the idea of tolling. I'm not thrilled with it myself. But if you could not stop tolling, what would you want it to include that would make it less bad? Let us know.
What a dumb question. Don't toll us. Don't do it. What would you want to make tolling less bad? What the fucking mainstream media garbage?
Send an email, will you? The address is thestory@kgw.com or call and leave a voicemail, 503-226-5090. Now, let's get to the very latest on Measure 114. That's Oregon's gun reform law.
I thought that whole thing was going to be on that, but it's not, thank God. Okay, over and out.